You take the job because it sounds safe. It's clerical work, writing names and recording dates in a simple ledger. You're not a doctor. No one expects you to cure anyone. You're just there to document deaths. It's necessary work, but not something that should sit heavy in your chest at night. The first house is quiet. The second has that faint, sour smell of sickness. By the third, you knock softer because you already know why the door will open. By the fifth, a mother asks if you can wait before writing her child's name. Just a minute. As if holding off the ink might somehow hold off reality. You stand there with the book against your ribs, not sure where to rest your eyes. You keep telling yourself this is just record keeping, ink on paper, dates and addresses, nothing more. But by the 10th house, you start noticing something that doesn't fit. The same street shows up again, then again. You flip back a page to check. It's not your imagination. The names are clustering. People keep saying it's the air, and to be fair, the air in London is awful. Sewage in the gutters, coal smoke hanging low, rotting waste in the heat. If something smells bad, your instinct says it's dangerous. If your kitchen smells like gas, you don't wait for proof. You step outside. That's how people thought about disease then. Bad air, miasma, rising from filth. Without microscopes that could show bacteria, what else could they go on? London smelled like a threat, so the threat must be in the air. But the smell doesn't change from one doorway to the next. It hangs over everything the same way. Your ledger doesn't. One street fills fast. Just a few houses over, there's almost nothing. You don't have a grand theory, just a quiet unease you can't shake. Cholera doesn't give people time. It hits suddenly. Violent diarrhea, vomiting, and within hours, the body is drained of fluid. People who were standing that morning are barely able to sit up by evening. Skin turns cold, voices grow thin. If you've ever been badly dehydrated, you know how quickly your strength disappears. Now imagine that, but worse, and without modern treatment to pull you back. You write down 3 names from one address, later 2 more from another house only doors away, then an infant. You close the book slower than usual. It's not only the number that troubles you, it's how tight it feels, like something moving through a narrow space instead of drifting everywhere. Around this time, a physician named John Snow starts asking for your records, not the details of how someone felt, not how the air seemed that day. He wants the addresses, exact locations. It sounds almost cold. Why would a doctor care more about where someone lived than how they suffered? Snow takes your pages and lays out a street map on a table. He starts marking each death where it happened. Small strokes, 1 for every name you wrote. The room is quiet, except for the scratch of the pen. At first, it's just dots. Then you step back. The marks gather around one place, the public water pump on Broad Street. The closer a house is to that pump, the heavier the ink becomes. A few streets away, the page thins out. It isn't dramatic, it's just there, stubborn. You feel that small shift inside, the moment when something ordinary rearranges itself into meaning. And then you notice something else. The brewery nearby hasn't lost many workers. The workhouse a short walk away reports far fewer deaths than the houses around it. They have their own water. They don't rely on the Broad Street pump. The pattern doesn't need a speech. It sits there, solid. If it's the water, that explains the cluster. But if it's the water, why is everyone still blaming the air? You might expect the debate to end there. It doesn't. The idea that disease comes from foul air has shaped medicine for years. It fits what people see. It fits what they smell. Letting go of that isn't easy. Snow's idea doesn't just suggest a new cause. It quietly suggested the accepted one might be wrong. and people don't surrender familiar explanations quickly. Removing the pump handle sounds simple now. At the time, it meant acting on a theory many doubted. Some officials agree, others hesitate. No one wants to make the wrong call. Eventually, the handle is taken off. Drawing water there becomes harder. Soon after, the deaths slow down. It's worth being honest about this. The outbreak may have already been burning out. Cholera can move fast and then fade. Snow isn't celebrated in the streets. Many remain skeptical. Some call it coincidence. But the map doesn't disappear, and once you've seen that cluster, it stays with you. Later, people look beneath the streets and find the source. A cesspit had leaked into the well feeding the Broad Street pump. Waste had seeped into the water. The buckets carried into homes looked harmless. The water was clear. It didn't look worse than anything else in London. Years later, scientists would identify the bacteria behind it and call it Vibrio cholerae, a microscopic organism that spreads through contaminated water and overwhelms the body. In 1854, no one could see it. There were no lab confirmations, only the shape it carved into your ledger. We trust what looks clean. Clear water feels safe. If it doesn't smell different, we assume it's fine. But some dangers don't announce themselves. Carbon monoxide has no scent. Viruses don't glow in the air. They move quietly until the pattern forces us to pay attention. In Soho, the danger wasn't floating above the streets. It was drawn from the pump, bucket by bucket, carried into kitchens and bedrooms without suspicion. When you look back, what you did doesn't seem heroic. You didn't invent a cure. You didn't design new tools. You counted. But before bacteria were visible, there were patterns. And patterns don't require advanced science. They require patience. They require someone willing to notice repetition and not dismiss it. You saw the same street appear again and again, the same cluster near the same pump. It wasn't evenly spread. That alone was enough to question the story everyone else believed. This is how people solve problems in everyday life. You track your expenses and see where money keeps slipping away. You notice a headache that always follows a certain meal. You watch the sky long enough to know when rain is coming. You pay attention to what repeats. Numbers may look cold, but each one in your book stood for a person who opened a door, a person who weakened too quickly, a family that went quiet. When those numbers sit next to each other honestly, they begin to point somewhere. What happened in that small part of London didn't feel historic at the time. No grand speeches, no immediate rewriting of medicine, just a map with a cluster that refused to be ignored. Today, when outbreaks happen, cases are plotted, clusters are tracked, patterns are watched closely. The tools are digital now, faster and more precise, but the instinct is the same. Put the cases down, step back, look for concentration. You thought you were filling a ledger. You were mapping risk. When you think back to that first day, the steady job, the careful knocking, it feels different. You believed you were recording endings. Each name felt final. But each name was also a signal, a clue that something beneath the street was wrong. In 1854, your job was to count the dead. You didn't know you were helping protect the living. And maybe that's how change usually begins. Not with certainty or applause, but with someone noticing that the pattern doesn't match the explanation and choosing not to look away.